Good morning, students, and welcome to the class of English. Children, this video is for grade 12. And children, in this video, I'm going to discuss with you some important question answers which may be asked in the exams. So, children, let's begin this session, which may prove to be wonderful. If you also have the active participation of yours by watching this video. All right, children, so let's see that we have short answer type questions in front of us. Answer each of the following questions in 30 to 40 words, and the two questions we have to do, there is choice. It is question number 11, and same it will be in the exams. So any two questions we have to do, and it's 2 marks each. Children, during exams, if you have to answer the questions, you must take care of the word limit also. If it's a 2 marks or 3 marks question, so not more than 30 to 40 words you should write. And it is clearly given here also that the word limit should be 30 to 40 words. All right. So let's discuss these questions. First one, what clues could be drawn from the answer sheet of events? So first of all, you children, you should know that which chapter it is. All right, because then only you will be able to answer the question properly. All right, so there is a prisoner named Evans, and he asked for the German O-level examination. All right, but actually it was his plan for escape. So there was some clues in the answer sheet of events which were hidden. All right, so we have to just discuss here that what were the clues. So the index number 313 and the center number 271 on the sheet gave the governor a clue which helped him to trace Evans at the Golden Lion of Chipping Norton. All right, so I think it was the pin code and the, you can say, street number. All right, so they were encrypted like index number and center number. Now that's why the governor got the clue about the whereabouts of Evans. Next question, which two opposite forces acted on Jack while he was telling to Joe a story? So this, you know the children, the story chapter name. So it was Our Hit a Mommy. So there was a father named Jack and the daughter named Joe. Jack was habitual of telling a story to his daughter, but as Joe was an inquisitive child, so she used to ask questions. So it is asked that which two opposite forces acted on Jack while he was telling a story to Joe. So when Jack was telling us Joe a story, there were two opposite forces. Firstly, Jack was telling Joe something that he wanted her to know and had no wish to hurry on. On the other hand, he heard a chair scrapping and realized that he needs to help his pregnant wife Claire in painting the woodwork downstairs. All right. So the two opposing forces were, first of all, he wanted to, let her daughter aware about different things, and secondly, his pregnant wife Claire was downstairs and she was painting. So this thought was also in his mind that he has to help his wife. Next chapter, children, what did Daddy feel about the conversation that two women had at the bus stop? The children, as you might be aware about this chapter, that is on the face of it. Okay, so what did the Daddy feel about the conversation that two women had at the bus stop? So Daddy was upset as because he had half burned face, and when he heard the two women at the bus stop conversing about him, because they were talking about his face, which according to them was terrible and which only his mother could love. For Daddy, it was a cruel thing to say. All right, children. So that is all about these short answer type questions. Let's move on to one long answer type question, and here we have again choice between two. First of all, Mukesh and other bangle makers. So children, you should be able to identify that the chapter name. So I think it is Law Spring. Yes. So Mukesh and other bangle makers are unable to break out of the vicious circle of poverty due to the collusion of government agencies and the police. What are the responsibility of these four categories of people towards the bangle maker and their children? So first of all, children, we should check the word limit. So what is the word limit? It is 122, 150 word, and we should also see the marks also, children. It is of 5 marks. So according to marks and according to word limit, we should write the answer. Keep this point in mind. Now, Mukesh and other bangle makers are unable to break out of the vicious circle of poverty. So the Mukesh belonged to the family of bangle makers, and he was unable to break that circle just because of the government agencies and the police and the middlemen. Now, this is a statement. Alright, children. So, if this kind of question is there, so what is this? First, we have a statement or assertion in front of us. So, we have to first understand this assertion, and then we have to answer the later part, that is the question. So what is the statement or assertion in front of us? Statement is that Mukesh and other bangle makers are unable to come above the poverty. Now, the question has been asked, what are the responsibilities of these four categories of people, that is government agencies and the police, towards the bangle maker and their children? So children, how we have to answer this question? First of all, what is the statement and question? We have to just match both of the things. So in the statement, it is given that government agencies and police, they are deaf ear towards the bangle makers and the poor people. So first of all, we should discuss this thing, that what the government agencies are doing, and secondly, we should focus that what they can do. Alright, children. So like this we will answer. So government agencies and police have no sympathy towards the pitiable conditions in which the bangle makers are making a living. They do not empathize with the bangle makers at all and are not sensitized towards their rights which can give them a life of dignity. Not only this, their insensitivity has made the situation worse to such an extent that instead of awareness of their rights, children accept their fate naturally. So we have discussed about what the government agencies are doing because it is given in the statement. Now what is asked in the question? The question is asked that what is the responsibility of these people? So children like Mukesh should not be working in bangle making factory as the working conditions are hazardous and hence affect the health of children. Instead, they should be attending school. The officials, particularly the government agencies and the police, have a responsibility towards society to uplift the socially and economically backward people. In fact, these four categories of people should work together to make the lives of bangle makers and their children better. So, understood, children? How this question has been answered? First, we have analyzed the statement, and in the first paragraph, we have just discussed the statement, and then in the second paragraph, we have discussed the question. All right. Now, second question is, what kind of an imaginary and ideal world does the poet visualize in the poem Keeping Quiet? So, you remember the poem Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda, children? So, what kind of world does the poet visualize? Right. So, children, the poet visualizes a calm, quiet, and peaceful world devoid of all forms of violence. See, in this question, nothing is given. It means everything you have to supply from your side because nothing has been given in this. As in the previous question, statement, then question. So, at least you have something to answer from the question itself. But in the second part, there is nothing like that. You have to answer everything from your own side. So for that, you must know the poem properly. So the poet visualizes a calm, quiet, and peaceful world devoid of all forms of violence. The poet wants people to take a moment of silence and tranquility. According to the poet, this moment will give us time in silence for self-introspection, when we can spiritually attain our moral self through a moment of meditation. Now, the quiet moment that the poet wishes for will bring an end to all destructive activities. In the world, fishermen will not harm the whales, men gathering salt will get the time to check his injured hands, no environmental degradation will be there. Alright. Now, the poet wants us to believe that it is possible to change our lives, and he wants us to alter our lifestyle to take us from sadness to happiness. One more thing that has been discussed in this poem is that Although the poet wants calmness and silence, okay, no war, but he does not advocate of total inactivity. He says that if I'm saying keep quiet, it doesn't mean that you become inactive. And he then gives the example of a seedling, all right, which is there inside the earth. But when gets time and proper environmental conditions, it germinates into a plant. Now here again some short answer type questions, children. It is question number 10. Answer any 5 of the following questions in 30 to 40 words. All right. Now, why don't the maps and the pictures on the wall of the classroom have any reference to the children sitting there? So it is, I think, from the poem Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. So there was a map on the wall and picture of Shakespeare was there. So why the poet, what is the question asking? The question is asking, why don't the maps and pictures on the wall of the classroom have any reference to the children sitting there? Means the question is saying that there was no relationship between the maps and pictures and the children sitting in the classroom. It's clear. It is given in the poem that Shakespeare has been termed as wicked. Why? Because Shakespeare belonged to nobility. He belonged to a privileged and rich class. But the children in the classroom were poor. There was no relationship between Shakespeare and the children there. And secondly, the map, it was not the map of the children. Then what was the map of the children? Just the window and outside world. They were unaware about the glowing sun, the energy of the ocean, and some good places. So the maps and pictures that decorate the classroom wall belong to the world of the rich. And there is a big gap between the world in which slum children live and the world of the rich. The maps and pictures hanging on the classroom walls cannot cheer them as their future is full of uncertainties. Clear, children? Okay. How was the peddler welcomed by the cottage owner? What did the peddler do to betray the trust of the cottage owner? Children, peddler here means rat trap seller. Okay, and it is from the story The Rat Trap. Don't write rat trappers, because some students mistakenly they write this thing rat trapper. So rat trapper is not the exact word, it is the rat trap seller. And peddler and rat seller both means the same. It is for the same person. So how was the peddler welcomed by the cottage owner? Alright, so this incident I think you know very well. And what did the peddler do to betray the trust of the cottage owner? So the peddler was welcomed the cottage owner, alright, and he gave him food and everything and treated the guest with food and entertainment. But next day, when the peddler wanted to go away, he stole the old man's money, that is 30 kroner, which he had earned that day. So he betrayed or cheated the cottage owner. Okay. Next is Aunt Jennifer's fingers were fluttering through the wool. Why? So it was about the Aunt Jennifer's tigers. So fluttering through the wool means fingers were fluttering through the wool. Alright. So her fingers were fluttering, it gives an image as if the fingers were afraid. Alright. And why the fingers were afraid? That's there. So the question is why? The oppression, burden, and challenges that Aunt Jennifer faced in her married life made her fingers flutter through the wool. So Aunt Jennifer was depressed. She was stressed. And she was highly under pressure because of her husband's domineering nature. So while knitting, her hand was shaking with fear, as I have already explained to you. Next question, describe the sharecropping arrangement made between the landlords and the peasants. That is chapter indigo, as it is given in the brackets also, children. You can see here, it is given in the brackets. But yeah, it is also given in the law spring, a thing of beauty. So a lot has been made clear to you. All right, you don't have to use your brain. So it's a good thing for you children. So as the chapter name has been given, discuss the sharecropping arrangement between the landowner and the peasants. So the sharecropping arrangement between the landowner and the peasant was that the peasants in Champaran had to plant 15% land with indigo, and then entire crop they have to give as rent to the Britishers. This was the arrangement. Next is, would you agree that promises made to poor children are rarely kept, and why do you think this happened in the incidents narrated in the text, Law Spring? So yes, I agree. It's clear that if you are making a promise to a poor child, definitely you will not keep it, but it's not all the time. So, but in majority of the cases, this is there. So, answer would be yes. I agree that the promises made to poor children are rarely fulfilled. In the story, the writer jokingly offers the rag picker boy to join a school, but the writer herself knew that it's difficult for the rag picker to join the school. She speaks mindlessly, but the boy takes it to be true and later asks her if the school has opened. Then there are so many such hollow promises in the boy's life because the person who makes the promise never intends to fulfill it. But the boy, the rag picker, didn't get in worry because such kind of false promises he used to deal with daily. Why is grandeur associated with the mighty death? Poem, a thing of beauty. So grandeur is associated with the mighty death because of their grand deeds and achievements. Alright, that is grandeur is added. Because mighty dead like king, popular kings, those who have done a lot for the country and the time, their achievements make their lives extraordinary. Therefore, the grandeur is associated with the mighty dead. And that is a source of inspiration for others also. Next question, children. It is also a long answer type question. See, the third level at the Grand Central Station is nothing but a convenient excuse for escapism. Okay? Do you agree with this statement? So, first of all, children, a statement is there, and then the question has been asked, justify. And second, next question is, do you agree with the statement? Escape means escape. Escape means to run away. To run away. All right. So the third level at the Grand Central Station was just nothing but something to escape from the reality. Do you agree? And it is from the chapter, the third level. All right. So do you agree? First you have to say yes. But now the same. The question is asking, if yes, then why? If no, then why? So you have to answer like this. So yes, I agree with the statement that there was no third level at the Grand Central Station. It was just a medium of escape for Charlie. Life in the modern world is full of insecurities, stress, worries, and problems. So children, as it is clear to all of us that life is full of insecurities, stress, worries, and problems. And the person, daily has to struggle with these things. And sometimes, the person gets frustrated and he wants a break, or you can say that he wants to escape from the reality and he wants to get into a fantasy world where he could find some kind of solace, happiness. So it was, I think, the same for the protagonist of the novel, Charlie. All right, he was fed up with the situations in his life, so he wanted to escape. So yes, I agree. That is there. It was just a fantasy combined with reality that caused a psychological shift in time and space. So it was a kind of intersection between time and space, and we can say it's a kind of intersection. It means it's a time travel, which is actually a fantasy right now, and maybe it may happen in the future, but still it is fantasy. It's a fiction. Exactly. So Charlie finds comfort and peace in a world of fantasy and romance, and what better way could Charlie find to escape from harsh realities of modern life? He imagined his destination, Galesburg, Illinois of 1894, which was a peaceful place full of serenity and beautiful nature, huge lawns and very big trees. Charlie also observed dim gas lamps, brass pitons, and old tight costumes of men and women. But as he came the other day with old currency to buy tickets to Galesburg, he was not able to find the third level, making it present a convenient excuse for escapism. So it has been proved now. So you have to here justify this statement. So next question is, Dr. Sadau's character is an amalgamation of right and wrong. Justify. Children. understand this thing. Right and wrong. What was right? Maybe doctor. And what was wrong? Maybe nationalist. Nationalist. Nationalist means the duty of Dr. Sadao towards the patient as a doctor and towards his nation as a citizen. So amalgamation means mixture. Alright, amalgamation means mixture. So Dr. Sadao's character was a mixture of right and wrong. Justify. Alright, so children, we have to balance both the things. So Dr. Sadao as a doctor and Dr. Sadao as a citizen. So Dr. Sadao is a character created by Pearl's book through which he shows the amalgamation of right and wrong. His character shows a conflict that arises from his loyalty towards his nation and his loyalty towards his profession, and his duty towards his country and his compassion towards the mankind. So there's a contrast. And Dr. Sadao dwindles between his duty towards the nation and his duty towards his profession. So, being a skilled surgeon, Dr. Sadao chose his compassion and humanity to help a severely wounded American prisoner of war, whom he found ashore. He decided to save his life first and then hand him over to the police. His inner conflict and professional ethics made him bold enough to take such an action at a time when even the servants at his house deserted him. Alright, so we have to discuss Dr. Sadao's two responsibilities. Number one as a doctor and number two as a citizen. And both we have to discuss. Alright, because what the question is asking, we have to justify the character of Dr. Sadao. So although servants of his deserted him, left him, but he didn't move from his duty, okay, as a surgeon and also as a citizen. Dr. Sadao very well knew that his action could get him into trouble. However, he still helped the enemy to escape and even called him my friend. With his actions, he rose above narrow prejudices and political enmity, disregarded the dangers and acted upon his human values, which directed him towards what in reality was right. Next, also children, it's a long answer type question. Give a character sketch of the governor of Oxford prison based on your understanding of the story. Evans tries an O level. Right. So, what main features he had that we have to write? He was kind-hearted, conscious, and gullible. Okay. So, how we have to prove? So, governor of the HM prison, Oxford, appears to be a kind-hearted fellow. At the start, as he arranges for an O-level exam for a prisoner, correct? Because it's very rare that a prisoner gives exam, although prisoners study at the jail, but it's very difficult to get the permission. But the government helped with the events just in the form of governor, and the governor allowed Evans to just take the O-level exams. But actually, it was a plan for Evans to escape. He was though quite doubtful of Evans and made every arrangement to make sure that Evans had no means to escape. Conscious. He was also very proud and self-conscious. He did not want Evans to disgrace him by escaping from his prison. So he shows a sharp presence of mind, which was clear from the fact that he cross-checked every call that was made to the prison that day. However, he got overconfident of his arrangement and gave Evans the opportunity to escape because of one simple careless action. Alright, so he was conscious and he was self-conscious that yeah, I am a helpful nature, but he was also to do his duty properly. So he made all kind of arrangements so that Evans could not escape. Gullible. Also, he was a person who did not mind showering praise on a prisoner. When Evans revealed his secret plan to him, he admired him. At last, he proved to just another gullible governor when Evans tricked him again and successfully escaped. So it means we can say a simple person, gullible you can say who can be easily fooled. So governor was like that also. Next question: at the end of storytelling session, Jack considers himself caught in an ugly middle position. Why does he feel so? Elaborate, children. These words you have to study very carefully. What is the meaning of elaborate? Elaborate means tell in detail. Alright? So, now suppose if the question is explain, you should explain by giving reasons. Elaborate means what statement is given, you have to just elaborate it, extend it. Alright? So, what is the statement? At the end of the storytelling session, Jack considers himself caught in an ugly middle position. So, we have to just extend this statement further. Alright? Here is the answer. So, at the end of the storytelling session, Jack feels that he has been caught in an ugly middle position physically, emotionally, as well as mentally. How? He was conscious of his duties as a father and as husband, and his efforts to make Joe fall asleep proved quite fatiguing for him because Joe was quite inquisitive and he used to ask questions again and again. She kept on interrupting him, asking for clarifications, pointing errors, and suggesting alternatives. Joe's non acceptance of the ending of the story is considered an act of defiance by Jack because Joe, children did not accept the end. Because should mommy hit the wizard or should wizard hit the mommy? This was the question. Actually, according to the story of the Jack, mommy hit the wizard because he was the propounder of traditionalism. But as Joe just favored modernity, so she asserted that actually it should like this. The story should end like this: that wizard hit the mommy and skunk might have got the good smell. Now, so this was there, and secondly, on the other hand, learning that the pregnant wife Claire needs his help in the household chores, and he's in a hurry to end the story. But being a loving father, he gives into Joe's demands and extends the story. The result of the extension proves unfruitful and unpleasant for both Jack and Claire, waiting for her husband to come down and help her with painting of the woodwork. Claire complains that he had told a long story and Jack feels utter weariness and trapped in a cage. So what was the problem with Jack? First of all, he had to tell something to or give knowledge to his daughter, and secondly, he had to help his wife also. So that's why he was caught in an ugly middle position. And he was tired also while telling the story to Joe. Now he is overcome with a sense of detachment and frustration being caught in the ugly middle position. So these were some important questions, children, which I had discussed with you just now. Hope you would get benefited with this. So kindly watch the videos as well as the previous videos and the basic videos of the chapter which I have made earlier. So hoping for the best, children. Thank you and goodbye for today.